hearing. Anyone other than the applicant or the representative wishing to speak must register and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator at this time. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct its monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the application. You may stay for the meeting and hear how the application was decided, or you may leave following the hearing. The applicant and town board will be sent a copy of tonight's decision. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of a decision can sign the sheet on the table at the front of the room. Those of you wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure we will follow for hearing each application is as follows. After each application is read, the applicant, their agent, or representative will have the opportunity to present their application, followed by any questions or comments from the board. Second, then all correspondence will be heard. Third, then others in favor will have a chance to speak. Fourth, anyone objecting will then have a chance to speak. Fifth, I will then ask for a summary of the board's field observations and any staff comments. Sixth, finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a brief rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone here in front, state their name, and direct their comments to the board. I ask that all testimony be kept brief and to the point. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located relative to the subject property. Tonight's hearing will be recorded, and the recordings will become part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous or prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The board has looked at all the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeal shall be heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information is available from the Clerk of Court's office and qualified legal counsel. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. I want to introduce the board members. Dave Williams, the guy in the red down there. John Shirk next to him. I'm Kevin Fitzgerald, our administrator. Todd and Kyle is our recording secretary tonight. The following items will be considered by the Board of Adjustments. Variance number 1. Jeff and Lindy Swenson, Mequon, Wisconsin, have made an application for variance in accordance to sections 58-235, sub 5, sub A of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct a 10.5 by 33 foot one-story addition on a full walkout basement and a 10.5 foot by 33 foot first floor screen porch, existing 21 foot by 33 foot screen porch to be raised, exceeding maintenance and repair of an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling, non-conforming due to side lot setback in the RS-20 single-family residential zone within the shoreland area. Location, a parcel of land being Lot 1 of Certified Survey Map number 1912, also known as Lot C, Block 1 of Leona Grove Plat, being part of Government Lot number 6, Section 30, T19N, R12E, Town of Leon, Pearl Lake, West 4656 South Pearl Lake Road. We will start with our gentleman, Mr. Swanson.
Hi, my name is Jeff Swenson. Thanks for hearing my application and considering it. My wife and I are planning to move to Waushara County and hopefully live at our cottage. Been on the lake since 1955. Always lived in Milwaukee and decided fairly recently that we'd like to sell our house down there and move up here. The thing that it's keeping us from doing that for the most part is the fact that when we bought our cottage, it was always a summer home. It did not have storage space nor closets, and we don't have much room to even really hang our clothes and things. So hence the application for some additional space Mainly the two-story portion of it would be a fairly large storage area in the basement, and a den area next to that, which is the 33 by 10.5 foot from the existing cottage forward after the porch is raised. And the second addition, not second, but the additional portion, which is the first floor, would be replacing the old porch with a new porch 33 by 10.5. We feel that will allow us to live the way we hope we could comfortably and be able to have a place to hang our clothes, I guess, and store some things.
Okay, I got some questions for you,
Okay.
and the committee probably have some questions for you too.
Okay.
Has there been a recent survey?
Yes, there has. Why am I hesitating? There has. We had an application for the existing porch that was put on 3 years ago, I believe. And we had a survey done at that time because there was a discrepancy in my original survey when I bought the property and the neighbor's survey to the west, which showed that our house was not on our property at the front portion of it. We since have negotiated with the neighbor a quitclaim deed to bring our property back on, or our house on our property. And on my original survey, the boathouse down at the lake was about 8 inches off of their property. So now we have a line that bisects that area that puts both of our buildings on our property. That was done in 3 years ago.
So you're sure of the lot lines now?
Yes.
Okay. How close to the lake will this be?
It's about 45 feet above the 75-foot high water mark.
Okay. Do you know why the structure is considered non-conforming?
It's, my understanding is the setback required to a lot line is, I believe, 15 feet for a home. And we are at 3 feet.
Why don't you give us a little history of the additions and variances that you received already on the property?
Okay. Once we bought the property, it was not winterized. We wanted to use it year-round, so we initially, and I believe that was 98, 99, 2000. We had a basement added to the property so that, and we have a forced air gas unit down there. Our well is down, our holding tank for the well and so on is down there, and it allowed us to winterize the property. That was 2000. In 2000, you remember?
About.
8.
Okay.
We added on a larger living space and kitchen area to the east of our property, and we did get a variance for that. And then in 2014, I think that's the year, we added the porch on, and that's when we came upon the discrepancy in the lot line.
Okay. How will you deal with erosion and stormwater runoff?
I'm definitely going to put gutters on the house, which I don't have now. I have a metal roof, but with the latest thaw, I had to tear all the carpeting out of my basement. There's a low area where I have a walkout. I thought that was a great solution to give us an egress out of the house. With the winter we had, there's a lot of ice buildup in I do have drain tiles that drain away from there, but they were frozen, and so that area with my plan is going to be filled in to pick up the existing grade of the property that was previous to putting the basement in. Gutters, then I'm planning on, I've gotten some recommendations from some other landowners on the lake, and what they did is had some excavation done with rock put in it or stone. I'm going to plan on in the front of the house have the rain gutters drain into that, and from there it'll hopefully leach out into the sand before it gets down to the lake. And of course, we'll have silt fences up during the construction. The back of the house, we have we have about 21 feet on the east side of the building, so the rain gutter there will drain into the soil on that side. The rain gutter that I'm would put on the back of the building would go in that direction as well.
The new construction, what type of foundation?
Going to be footings down below frost with a poured concrete wall on 3 sides and a 2x4 or 2x6 construction on the front of the building, which is the lakeside, and a concrete floor.
Is there a walkout basement?
Yes, it's gonna, where the basement is walkout now, that will become a hallway 10.5 feet long with the door in the same location, but 10.5 feet closer to the lake.
How far above the existing grade will the first floor elevation be?
Whatever my basement ceiling is now, and I don't have that measurement right now, but the intention is to make it the same height so that the first floor will join with the first floor currently, and the basement floor will be at the same height as the current basement. So I believe that's probably
How much filling
9.5
and grading with that? How much filling and grading with that?
Really very, very little because of the pitch of the hill. I mean, the fill will be from digging where the existing, up against the house to create that lower level on the lower level adjacent to the current house. That fill will be put in this hole where I have the walk-in basement now to pick that current grade up. And but because of the taper of the hill that goes down towards the lake, there'll be very little excavation beyond that.
Any fill?
Any fill? If necessary, but not that I anticipate at all, no.
The new addition planned, what height? What height? Same as the old roof or higher?
Same as the old roof. Actually, it's a little bit lower. We're going to put a peak in the front rather than a flat tapered roof in the front. But that will be beginning lower than the existing roof of the existing house.
Any other improvements planned?
Not on the lake side of the property. I do own the property across the lake, and I'm hoping to get a building permit to put a garage up there.
Across the lake or
Across the road, I'm sorry, across the road in the other property. That's 4655 is the address there.
Will all other setbacks be met?
Yes.
What can you tell us about your septic system?
It's the same septic system. Well, that's not really true. When we bought the place, it had a septic system. In 2004, I had roots in the drain field going out, and I had that replaced at, I believe it was 2004 or 3, with they rotor-rooted out the roots, but also replaced that pipe. And that's what I've been using ever since. I have had conversation with the plumber that I'm hoping to use to do any work inside the house for this project, and there's a possibility I will have to put a holding tank in.
Do you drive on the drain field now?
No.
Where is the drain field? We saw the pipe right next to the driveway, the vent pipe.
I don't have any pipes coming out to the side of it, but no, there are none there.
Okay. What other options have you considered on this?
Well, when I put the addition on to add the kitchen and living area to the east, I approached my neighbor to buy some property from them, and they declined to sell it to me. I was hoping to overcome the issue of the setback issue on the west side of the house. I have approached the same neighbor again since you folks were out there on Monday, and they still are not interested in selling any property. And since then, they've built a garage, which I know some of you saw there, that if I were to be able to buy 15 feet, which I tried to buy initially, now their garage would be in a violation of an offset. But they're not interested in selling any property.
What are your hardships and unique property limitations which would support your request?
Just the fact that I have an offset issue that I have to overcome somehow in order to make my house livable as a full-time resident.
Are there any other non-conforming structures on the property?
Not that I'm aware of. I used to have a outhouse there. I've abandoned that in favor of we call it a recycling shed, where we keep our recyclables and garbage. I have a garden shed on the property, which I bought from a garden shed builder on Highway F and had put on the property. Not that I'm aware of, no.
The stairs going down, does it have a landing where the gas grill is?
Yes.
Do you know what size it's supposed to be or not be?
I was told with the previous variance that I applied for the porch that 2 of the landings on the way down were too big, so I had to cut those and make them smaller. I believe it might be 4 by 8. I'm not positive at this point. I do know I cut those down to whatever the dimension needed to be. There was a bench on one of them to sit down on, and that was made smaller also. The stairs and the landings are above grade.
Did you talk to the town about this at all?
About,
The township? Did you talk to the township? at all?
yes,
Okay. And
Chris Sorensen.
do you know what permits you would be needed for, if you were granted this?
I would have to get a building permit to put the structure up. I would have to get an electrical permit. I would have to get, I assume at least, I would have to get a plumbing permit because we are planning inside to move our washer dryer up to the first floor. Possibly also put a bathtub downstairs where there currently is a shower using the same drain and a water supply.
Getting back to the septic one more time, do you know how old the tank there is now?
I do not. It was there when we bought the place in 97, 96, fall of 96. It's a
If approval would be granted, when would you start building?
My builder's here, and he's saying that he could start sometime in July.
Okay.
Our hopes are that if that takes place, we can have the place closed in and maybe be in it before the snow flies.
Okay. Questions? David?
No, you can't even talk the neighbors out of just 12 feet? With kind of a line coming up by her boathouse and just turning and
Well,
back,
that
that
was-
would just make it.
That was what I
everything goes away.
offered initially, and I said I would do that again. But, yeah, by taking that property, technically, if I went all the way down the lake, which is where the more valuable property is, their boathouse would be entirely on my property. And initially, when I offered this in 2008 or whenever it was, 9, when we did that addition, I did give him a drawing that showed that he would keep the boathouse and I would take a jog, and if that were permissible, and they weren't interested to do that, and they're still not.
Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping that would work.
John, anything? Nope.
Just on the septic, so you would put in a holding tank, so what you have now is a septic tank and a drain field, is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct, yeah. But, yeah, I'm prepared and talked through with John's Plumbing out of Wild Rose, the plan of putting a holding tank in. What he recommended is, as long as this is working, continue to do it, but I'm feeling down the road, living there full-time, that we will probably need a holding tank and more capacity.
Okay.
In my mind, there's really no question of that. And
Anything else? Okay, have a seat. We got some stuff to go through here for you. Correspondence.
Yeah, we've received 5 letters from neighbors and also an email from the DNR, and I'm just going to read each one individually for the record. First one received March 10th. Dear Waushara County Zoning Board, I met my neighbor Jeff Swenson at my cottage last weekend, and he explained that he and his wife Lindy are planning to add onto their cottage to enable them to make Pearl Lake their permanent home. Their property is adjacent to my property to the west. Jeff explained that due to a narrow lot, he has applied for a variance with this board. I support the project that Jeff and Lindy are proposing and hope you will approve their application. Thank you, Mabel Kuharski. Second letter, received March 11th. It's addressed actually to you, Kevin, and the board. It says, we are the trustees of the Richard C. and Joan C. Kleinfeld Revocable Trust, the owner of record of the real estate parcel described as W4666 South Pearl Lake Road, Red Granite, Wisconsin. Our property is the second cottage west of that owned by Jeff and Lindy Swenson, Mequon, Wisconsin. We are familiar with the project which Jeff and Lindy desire to undertake and fully support its approval by the Waushara County Board of Adjustment. As long as they have owned it, their property has always been meticulously maintained with careful attention paid to regulations as well as to the welfare of the neighbors. We are very confident that will continue, and this current project will be a benefit to them and their family as well as an enhancement to the surrounding neighborhood on Pearl Lake. Once again, we heartily endorse their project, encourage approval by your board. Thank you for your consideration, Richard and Joan Kleinfeld. Next letter from March 11th, also from Perry and Nancy Mueller. My wife and I have a cottage 2 doors down from the Swenson cottage. They are wonderful neighbors, strong supporters of the Pearl Lake Association, and exactly the kind of people we want to share our summers with on Pearl Lake. The requested expansion of their cottage will not impair others, and if it helps to ensure keeping them on Pearl Lake, we strongly support their variance request. Perry and Nancy Mueller. Another letter received March 11th. Dear Waushara County Zoning Board, I am writing you on behalf of Jeff and Lindy Swenson and their application for a variance to build in addition to their cottage. I am the property owner directly to the west of their property. They have explained their project to me and also indicated their intentions are to make their permanent home on their property once this construction is completed. I am writing you to offer my support for this project and for granting them the variance they have requested to allow them to proceed. Thank you for your time, Karen Ryan. Last letter dated, received March 13th, addressed to the Zoning Board of Waushara County. My neighbor, 2 lots to the west, Jeff and Lindy Swenson, have contacted me to describe a planned addition to their cottage. They indicated that they have applied for variance approval due to proximity to their west lot line. They also indicated that the reason for the addition is to allow them to make Pearl Lake their permanent home. I am writing you to offer support for their project. Thank you for considering my input, Dennis Ramo. And last was a email that I received on March 13th from Dale Resbeck. And Dale's the shoreland specialist with the DNR. It says, hi Todd, just wanted to let you know that I told Mr. Swenson when he called me that I would have no comments on his variance. That we usually do not take comments or do not make comments when a shoreland standard is not affected. But that is not a statement of support to his application. It is no opinion. And I reminded him that he would also need to satisfy the 3 statutory criteria for a variance, and the BOA makes that decision. Thanks, Dale. And that's the last.
Thank you. Anyone registered to speak in favor?
Nope.
Anyone
Nope.
objecting?
Nobody injecting.
Staff comments, you're up.
Okay. Everyone has a copy of the most recent, the final draft. And for the benefit of everyone here, I've distributed a report to the board and summary of the request. The applicants Jeff and Lindy Swenson are requesting a variance to construct a 10.5 by 33 one-story addition on a full walkout basement and a 10.5 by 33 first floor screened porch. The existing 8x18 screen porch will be raised. This is exceeding maintenance and repair of an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling and non-conforming due to the side lot setback in an RS-20 single-family residential zone within the shoreland area. The property in question is part of the Leona subdivision, which was originally platted in 1895. The vast majority of those lots at that time were platted to lot widths of approximately 64 feet. The original home predates county records. However, it has been added onto numerous times over the years. Given the non-conforming status of the property, the home has been subject to and received 3 previous variances dating back to 2000. In 2000, as the applicant stated, they received a variance to exceed the 50% value of an existing non-conforming structure to allow essentially construction of a basement underneath the existing dwelling. In 2006, the applicants received a variance to construct a 1-story 20 by 26 addition onto the east side of the home, coming no closer than the existing. And then in 2014, the applicants received a variance to enlarge an existing 6 by 9 covered porch to be an 8 by 18 screen porch onto the lakeside or the north side of the home. The applicants are now seeking their 4th variance to allow construction of the addition and the additional screen porch. Said addition would equate, just for everyone, to an approximate 37% enlargement of the footprint of the existing home. The Board of Adjustments did visit the property at their recent on-site on Monday, March 18th, and had the following comments. While the property in question is narrow by today's standards, the lot is not unique in that there are many other similar lots in the area. The property maintains adequate vegetation. No buildable area exists without need of a variance. The existing septic system may need an evaluation should the applicants wish to replace said system. And the applicant should look into acquiring additional land from the neighbor to the west to avoid any future variance requests. Now, for justification, variances seek a relaxation of the dimensional standard in the code. The decision to grant a variance must be supported by practical justification, which include 3 standards. Number 1, that the code is unnecessarily burdensome and that the landowner is not able to enact a permitted use without a relaxation of the dimensional standard. Number 2, there are unique limitations on the property that prevent the landowner from meeting the required dimensional standard. And 3, if the variance is granted, no harm will be done to the public or the zoning code. It is the applicant's responsibility to present the case and provide the burden of proof as to why the variance should be granted. The personal situation of the applicant, financial hardship, convenience, a growing family, or nearby violations cannot be considered as valid reasons to grant a variance. The applicants cite the fact that the existing cottage was built by others and situated too close to the property line. The applicants also cite the narrowness of the lot as a detriment to future expansion, and they also believe the proposed addition would not negatively impact surrounding land uses, as it is not coming closer to the west lot line than what's existing. I'd like to point out that in 2017, the governor did approve the property rights bill, which made special concessions for non-conforming structures. These concessions allow for unlimited maintenance and repair of all non-conforming structures, but would only allow limited expansions for others, subject only to meeting specific setback requirements. And obviously, as we went through the text amendments in 2018, the county has since adopted and amended our codes to reflect the direction received by the state. For those structures that are less than half of the required setback, such as that the applicants are requesting, any construction is to be limited to only maintenance and repair of the home within the existing envelope. The intent being not to promote expansions of non-conforming homes situated extremely close to property lines due to potential impact upon adjacent properties. While the property in question is unique in that it is very narrow and the home was situated very close to the proximity to the west property line, the applicants have not demonstrated an unnecessary hardship, as they not only have reasonable use of the property, but they have been allowed to expand multiple times already. The applicants have also failed to demonstrate that granting this variance will not undermine the purpose and intent of the ordinance. Since 2000, the applicants have enlarged the footprint of the home by roughly 77% from its original footprint. While the county has approved variances to other non-conforming structures in the past, they present a completely different set of unique circumstances and were not quite to this degree, an additional 37% increase. In total, if they were to be granted this variance, it would expand the footprint nearly 142% the original size of the original footprint. Staff has reviewed this request and finds the proposal quite excessive, given the number of variances previously granted on the property. We also believe the county ordinance could be potentially undermined, as this would result in the fourth expansion onto a property not normally allowed. While the board will be formulating a recommendation on this request later on tonight after this public hearing, staff is recommending denial of the variance to construct a 10.5 by 33 one-story addition onto a full walkout basement and the 10.5 by 33 first floor screened porch. Those would be subject to the denial reasons and denial questions as indicated in your report on the fourth and fifth pages.
Thank you. Rebuttal?
When we first bought this property, I understand what you're saying regarding the amount of expansion we've done to the property. It was extremely small when we first purchased it, so, and any addition to it would have very easily double the size to even make it at all livable. We had a bathroom, a bedroom, and a kitchen, and very little other space at all. I understand the reading of the hardships don't deal with that, but I mean, negate that issue that, you know, we have a family, we've grown up there, we've tried to make a place for our 2 daughters and their families. We have 6 grandchildren, and none of them live there or plan to, but they do visit quite often. And I don't know how, I mean, I appreciate the variances we've gotten in the past, but I don't know how we can make this our home without doing what we're trying to propose. I guess I don't know what else to say at this point. It appears as though you're going to issue a rejection. I'd be very disappointed, obviously, in that, but.
And if I could, please understand that staff's recommendation. This is gonna be taken up here a little bit later on this evening, and obviously the board and that will listen to the merits and they'll make their decision.
Understand. We had just hoped to make this area our permanent home, and not sure, you know, depending on the outcome of this hearing, we're not sure what direction we can go. I'd hate to have to leave this area because I've grown up here, but I don't know what else I can say. Any other questions you have of me, or?
I'll ask, any questions from the board? Anything? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that'll conclude this part of our meeting. We will adjourn to this small room over here for our business meeting. And the next hearing will be the zoning boys.
Sure. Yep. sir? Fine. Good. Ours will be a little bit more jovial. You should, whose is it, what is that? Is that part of it? This is. Their stuff? No, this is our stuff.
You know what I mean? I know. So we go through it all and then.
There you go, sir.
Thank you. I will call this meeting in the Waushara County Planning and Zoning Committee to order. This meeting will be conducted in the same manner as the applications heard by the Board of Adjustment. Please remember to keep your comments brief, no more than 5 minutes, and relative to the matter at hand. Anyone other than the applicant or their representative wishing to speak at this hearing must have registered. Anyone who has not should do so immediately and submit a registration slip to the zoning administrator. The committee has looked at all the properties and the record will reflect these observations. Following the public hearing, the committee will conduct their monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the public hearing. Any person affected by an administrative decision in this committee has 10 days from the filing of tonight's decision to file an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Waushara County Board of Adjustment. Information and applications are available from the county zoning office. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 10-day period. I will now announce the committee. And if you'll raise your hands when I give your name. Carl? George? Here. Pat? Jerry? And Mike? Okay. Call to order. Public hearing on applications. There's the first one right there. First one this evening will be Ben Mott Hancock. It has made an application for a conditional use in accordance with section 58-236, parentheses, 19, and 58-454, parentheses, 2, and parentheses 11 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to conditionally establish an animal shelter with a maximum of 25 dogs and 25 cats utilizing with an existing facility previously used as a dog kennel and the AG2 General Agricultural 2-acre minimum zone. Location, an approximately 1 acre parcel of land being part of the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter certified survey map number 636, section 10, T 18-9, R 10E, Town of Dakota, N 1750, State Road 22.
Good evening. I'm Ben Mott, and I want to thank you for hearing my application, our application. And I just wanted to make a correction on the record that we're going to change, or we're going to keep the number of cats at 25 requesting, but we are officially going to decrease the number of dogs to 18 per the number of indoor-outdoor kennels that are currently established, and think that'll be a decent number for us to at least start at for a few years, and then down the road, if we see fit to grow, we can certainly try to do that. For the last handful of years here, we've been doing kind of some rescuing, fostering, rehoming animals ourselves. A small group of us have been doing this, and in the last few years, it's really just become a lot more than we can deal with on our own. There is no similar shelter in the county. The current dog catcher was begged to stay on for an additional year. So after this year, he is planning to retire, and I think his feet are pretty set on that. And then at that point, there will be no facility at all for any strays or county animals to go to, at least as their current agreements. Marquette County also uses this same individual, and I've been in touch with the Adams County Sheriff as they've had some increases in charging from their shelter in their county, so they've been looking for a place to use as their holding facility for some of their strays as well. We think this will be a benefit to the county. You know, it's centrally located. We have a very strong core of volunteers, and we think that this will be definitely something that the community can get behind and support. We want to work with the county as well as the, you know, officially the county, the Sheriff's Department, as well as members of the community. Initially, this will be at a private facility and not open to the public, but we will be using Town and Country Vet Clinic as our public visitation area. That way we can keep the homeowners separate from the members of the public. We know that there's a lot of work to be done. We wanted to start here so that we could do things right. We know there's a lot more approvals that we need to get as we go, you know, especially when you're considering septic and then the renovation, whether it be the commercial aspect of it, whether the plans have to go to state approval or not. Our contractor's already been talking with Tim Tripp and is going to provide him with plans that Tim can review to decide whether he can approve them here or if they need to go forward state for approval. And once we get those renovations in place and the kennels the way that we want them, then we'll go to the county license and then the state license through DATCAP for the shelter. We've talked with DOT, there's no issues there. The Sheriff's Department is in support of this. Town of Dakota is in support of this. I haven't heard anybody that has had an issue. At least they haven't brought it up to us at this point. We are going to work on, like I said, a lease arrangement with the landowners, and we already have, like I said, the renovation plan, budget estimate, and we're working on fundraising currently as we go to hopefully have this in place, at least to be able to work with the county by the beginning of 2020.
Okay,
Any questions?
George? You want,
Yeah, well, just a few questions, and I know at our visit yesterday, it was briefly addressed, and you addressed it just towards the end here, but there's current residents at the home that also own the kennel area, so you plan on leasing that
Yes.
until, now, is this a foundation that's gonna be running this? Is this a private enterprise, or?
Currently, we are a 501c3 approved through the Community Foundation of Central Wisconsin, I believe it's called. And they basically act as a 501c3 for organizations that are attempting to get there. And they house the foundation, they house the financial aspect of it and provide that nonprofit ability until those for up to 3 years, until those organizations are able to meet their fundraising goals and get on their own feet.
And part of those fundraising goals would then be to purchase, and this is the part I didn't quite understand yesterday, purchase just the kennel area or the whole property, including the home?
Well, we're not pushing them out.
And I
I'll
heard you,
say that publicly.
I heard you say that yesterday, but
right.
I just wasn't sure.
No, so basically, long-term, yes, long-term, Waushara County Animal Shelter plans to purchase the entire property.
Okay.
Until that point, we will be leasing the, access and the kennel building from the private landowners.
Anybody else have any questions, or?
No, I was very, very interested in how you were going to operate this, and knowing of your background, I think it's gonna be running the way it's supposed to.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I do have a letter from the Waushara County Humane Officer, Deputy Angel Janish. It was received on January 22nd. Excuse me. And it states, "To whom it may concern, my name is Deputy Angel Janish, and I am the Humane Officer for the Waushara County Sheriff's Department. I have been asked to write a recommendation for the planned Waushara Animal Shelter. I believe that having such an organization in our county will be immensely helpful. As the Humane Officer of Waushara County, I have contact with a wide variety of animals and animal problems. Oftentimes, I'm responsible for collecting stray or runaway animals, confiscating neglected or injured animals, or taking possession of animals surrendered by owners and animals that must be quarantined due to noncompliance of rabies vaccinations." Excuse me. For law enforcement, having a shelter would mean less time standing by with an animal until arrangements are made for transport to and out of county facility. Officers would be able to transport animals to the shelter without having to wait. It would also be helpful as a resource for information for officers and the public alike. Most importantly, the shelter would help the innocent animals who, through no fault of their own, find themselves homeless, injured, and alone. Many of these animals would be able to find loving, forever homes with residents of our county who are looking for loyal companions to love. Thank you for taking time to consider this letter and our need of this facility. Sincerely, Deputy Angel Janish. And that's all I have for the letters.
Anybody else have any questions or anything?
No.
All right. Anybody else?
I do have one registration to speak in favor. Bill Van Dagen.
Oh, Bill.
And I'm representing the town of Dakota, because I'm on their planning board, I'm in the planning commission. Town of Dakota feels that this particular facility would be in no conflict whatsoever with the plan for the town and fits in with the general needs of the town. From a personal aspect, I was involved a little bit in creating their website and dealing with the folks that are dealing with this, the mods, Leah Fleck, Jane Fowler, a few other folks that are dealing with it, and found them to be quite knowledgeable on what they're dealing with, what they're trying to do, and taking the correct steps to do so. So, thank you.
Thank you. Gary, you want to call it?
You don't have to.
we have nobody speaking in objection, and no informational, so. Do you want me to give my report?
Please.
Okay. The applicant, Ben Mott, is requesting a conditional use to establish an animal shelter with a maximum of, I know we had 25 dogs in there because that's the way the public record went out. Yeah, obviously 18 dogs and 25 cats, utilize an existing facility previously used as a dog kennel in the AG2 General Agricultural 2-acre minimum zone in the town of Dakota. The county maintains numerous records and permits on this property dating back to only about 2000. It should be pointed out that we maintain very little records on the original construction of the original building and/or any prior uses that predated county codes. It wasn't until 1988 that the town of Dakota accepted county zoning, so therefore any records prior to that time would be in their possession. In 2000, the county did approve a conditional use for a wildlife supplies, gift, and retail store in the existing dwelling and an educational display of native wildlife in the existing L-shaped building located at the rear of the property. In 2003, the county then approved a conditional use to establish a dog kennel grooming facility at this property. The original approval allowed for a maximum of 35 dogs and established grooming hours between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. For some reason, I believe in 2004, they had some funding issues. They asked for an extension that went to 2005, ran for a short period of time. However, in 2005, the applicants received numerous health-related violations, and it was shortly thereafter that they ceased operations, so in 2005, never reinitiated or reopened, so therefore, after a 12-month period, the conditional use has since gone invalid. The current applicant is now seeking to resurrect an animal-related use at this property. Ben is no stranger to animals and the county's processes. Ben is a warden for the Department of Natural Resources. He and his wife have an existing dog kennel at their residence, and Ben's wife is the owner and operator of a nearby Town and Country veterinary clinic. The current business plan is to lease the property from a private party that resides on the premises. Upon eventual retirement of Gary Kruger, who is Waushara County's stray animal pickup and quarantine contractee, it is hoped that this facility will house and care for Waushara County strays. And also, the nearby Town and Country Clinic will be utilized as viewing center and for any medical procedures that may be needed. The committee visited the property at the recent on-site on Wednesday, March 20th, and offered no additional comments and/or concerns. It should be pointed out that Ben Mott was also in attendance at the on-site, and Ben mentioned that he had had conversations with the DNR regarding the proposed septic system, and it appears that there may be two separate pouch systems that'll be necessary, one for human waste and then one for the anticipated animal and cleaning chemical waste. Ben also mentioned the anticipated maximum number of dogs being reduced from 25 to 18. Should the committee feel that this is acceptable, we just need to make sure that at the end and that when we state the conditions that we revise that number that's in the staff report. Staff has reviewed this request and believes this use is compatible with the underlying zoning and an ideal location for an animal shelter. While the committee will be making a formal recommendation on this request later on tonight after the public hearings, staff is recommending approval of the conditional use request to establish an animal shelter with a maximum of 18 dogs and 25 cats, utilizing an existing facility previously used as a dog kennel in the AG, General Agricultural 2-acre minimum zone in the town of Dakota. And that's all I've got. Do we want to ask for a rebuttal?
Is there any rebuttal? Okay, thank you. Okay. Next one, Saxville Community Church, Saxville, Wisconsin, has made an application for a conditional use in accordance with Section 58-454, parentheses 8, of the Waushara County Zoning Code to establish a church with a proposed construction of a 60-foot by 80-foot building in the AG zone. Location, an approximately 4.91 acre parcel of land known as Lot 4 of Certified Survey Map number 5819, being part of the second, S 1/2 and the southwest 1/4 of the southwest 1/4, section 9, T 20 N R 12E, Town of Saxville, intersection of County Road TT and County Road E.
I met all of you yesterday. I'm Reverend Chapman from Saxville Community Church. In 2007, my wife and I started the church in the town hall of Saxville. And in 2010, I believe it was, we purchased this property for building a place, and then applied for a conditional use permit then, and was able to try to get it going, but we just weren't able to make it happen. And we got an extension on that, and still wasn't able to make it happen, and so that has been invalid. So we went on for that for a little bit, and then the Saxville Baptist Church closed its doors, and we had done some services together and activities together, and that church graciously voted to give us their property. And so that's where we have been meeting since that time, is at the Saxville Community Church. Was a great blessing for us at the time because we needed a spot to go with our food pantry. We distribute about 2,000 pounds a month of food in that area. When we started our food pantry, it was for Mount Morris Township, Leon Township, Saxville Township, and Poisippi, and it has grown extensively from that. It broadened out, and that has every Saturday, I mean, not every Saturday, first Saturday of every month since we started that in roughly 2008, we have had a food pantry distribution. One of the problems we have is that that building is 127 years old, has a lot of steps, narrow steps and hallway, and when we started the food pantry, we all were a little bit younger, and we're finding that steps become a little bit more difficult because we've got to take the food down, to put it out on the table for the recipients to pick what they want, and then it's all done, we have volunteers who bring it right back up again. And so it's a lot of work. Our proposal of the building is going to be one on a slab, pole structure, food pantry in the back with its own entrance and exit and carport, just to alleviate all that steps and et cetera with that. And we're excited. We're ready to move forward with it. It's just time to do it. We needed to do it about 5 years ago. Was unable to do it, but now we want to do it and get it done. So,
Any questions?
Yesterday, and I believe Todd answered this question for me, but I didn't think of asking you when we were together. But just to make certain, so the foundation is going to be a slab foundation? It's not going to be a dug basement?
no, it will be a slab foundation, and we're looking at doing in-floor heating and comparing it with forced air, gas forced air. But we're just, I just went through a process where I work at Spencer Lake, and they put a building up with in-floor heating, and it looked pretty interesting and cost savings, and it's very, very warm heating. And so we're going to look at that as a possibility. If that's not the case, then we'll put the slab on and probably some frost walls too.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional committee questions?
No, I have none.
Okay, any correspondence?
We haven't received any correspondence to date, and nobody has registered to speak in favor, nobody in objecting, and nobody to speak informational. Doesn't mean it's not important. All right. The applicant, Reverend Rod Chapman, is requesting a conditional use to establish a church with proposed construction of a 60 by 80 building in the AG General Agricultural Zone for the property located at the northwest corner of County Road TT and County Road E in the town of Saxville. As stated by the applicant, the Saxville Community Church originally received a conditional use back in 2009. However, due to funding issues and that the plans never commenced, they reapproached the county in 2013 for an additional extension to that expiration date. And that was ended in December of 2014. Church is now seeking to resurrect plans for a new facility, and as a result has filed said application and respective drawings. Staff has reviewed the proposed site plans, preliminary elevations, and has verified the proposal meets all required setbacks, including the required 200-foot visual clearance triangle and 300-foot driveway spacing from center lines of both county roads TT and E. Committee visited the property at the recent onsite on Wednesday, March 20th, 2019, and offered no additional comments and/or concerns. However, they did feel that the use was appropriate at this location. While the proposed site plan is slightly different than that was submitted in 2009, the plans are still very similar. The building location has remained the same. Parking, however, has been relocated from the rear of the building now to the front. Orientation is still towards the intersections of County Roads TT and E. And there are plans, and now shown as potential expansion, taking the 90-seat sanctuary to ultimately 100 to possibly 125. Staff has reviewed this request and continues to believe a church at this location is in keeping with the original approvals, the surrounding land uses, and underlying zoning. While the Planning and Zoning Committee will be making a recommendation and decision on this following the public hearings, staff is recommending approval of the conditional use as listed to the reasons and conditions stated in your report that you have before you. Okay.
Is there any rebuttal by the applicant? Okay. We have a roll call. And just for everybody's information, there's no talking coming out of the pews anymore. It's just us up here, everything.
Oh, I got it.